Hey, this is Ernest Miller, the cat, baby. If you ain't watching me with Mike and Tyler count it out, you losing, you missing out on big time.
People walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill After Seal Approved Counted Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and things are a little different this week. Mike and I were unable to get together to record this week due to some personal matters on my end. Anybody that listens to our show knows that a really fun and unique part of our show is my animals and their run-ins that they do. Lucy the cat and Mia the cat. They always seem to pop their head into our recordings. It's quite fun. We quite enjoy and we quite love it. Unfortunately, this week, one of my cats, Mia, got very ill, and we had to rush her in for an emergency surgery, which went very successful. She had a issue with her bladder, and everything worked out, and everything is good. But it just took away from my week. I was in no mood to want to, well, not even no mood. I just was unable to sit down and record with Mike, and I wanted to put all my priority with my family, and you guys will all understand that. And I don't need to explain that to you, but this show is important to me, and it's important to Mike, and we look at you guys like our family as well. And I'm always going to be honest and open with you guys. And just very thankful that Mia is okay. Our bank account will not be okay, but that's a different story. It's okay. Things we do for our animals that we love. I still want to put something out this week. So I figure we're getting to that year end time of the year. It's my favorite show of the year. We bring on 7 different guests to count out 7 different topics. And Mike and I have been working on that already this year. We've got some fun guests lined up, but I want to kind of throw back to last year. And I want to replay this week our interview that we did with Vince Russo. I feel like it kind of slid under the radar last year, and I want to give it a little bit of shine, a little bit of light. We had Vince Russo on for our number one moment of the year last year, and it was a fun conversation. And it's topical, I think, again, because, well, it's Vince Russo talking about Steve Austin and Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens had a great year, and there's every year WrestleMania comes around, you get the Steve Austin rumors, but I just feel like it's kind of something that slid under the radar last year, and I want to give it a little bit of light this year. So that's going to be the show this week. We are going to air our interview with Vince Russo, and thank you for your guys' understanding. We will be back next week with our regularly scheduled program. I know Mike, I think, has a Survivor Series list lined up. I'm still working on my Ric Flair and Sting list that I have been doing, and we roll into that year-end season. So, yeah, thank you guys for everything. And once again, little baby Mia, she is doing just fine. As I'm recording this, it is 5:30 in the morning on Thursday. I just was not able to sleep much last night, but I will be picking her up in a few hours, and she will be home and taken care of well, and we will update you guys on her recovery as well. And that's it. So I'm gonna go get ready for work, and you guys can enjoy this chat with Vince Russo, bro.
So what? I guess it was about 2 years ago. We had Bill Apter on the show, and I said something, and I mean it to this day, that when I was growing up, I didn't want to be a wrestler. I wanted to be a journalist, and I loved my favorite things to do were to collect the magazines. And there was 2 guys that made me want to get those magazines: Bill Apter and Vic Venom. And we are so lucky today to have the man behind Vic Venom to talk to us about our number one moment of the year. Vince, Russo is here on the show. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Russo.
Oh, bro, you are putting me up in a category with Bill Apter, bro. That is a honor, bro. He is a treasure. I call him that all the time, man. He is a walking, talking treasure. I love Apter, and for you to put my name with his, I really appreciate that.
I think Mike's onto something there, though, because before we get into our number one moment here, I really do think that, Bill set the standard for the wrestling magazine, but I think that you had a big influence in changing the game and the way that it
100%.
went. The Vic Venom stuff was awesome. You know what? That's what I came up reading with Apter. And where did that creativity come from for you, Vince? I'm just curious before we get into that.
Where it really came from is I was writing so much of that magazine that I had to create characters, or else everything would have been by Vince Russo, by Vince Russo, by Vince Russo. So that was the main reason why I came up the character of Vic Venom, just so everybody wouldn't know that I was writing just about every word in that magazine.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And for anyone that's on the younger generation that didn't grow up with the wrestling magazines, Google it, guys. It's well worth it to check out either Mr. Apter or Mr. Big Venom there. But we're not here to talk about the wrestling magazines. We are here to talk about the number one moment in my top 7 list of the best moments of the year 2022. And I couldn't think of a better man to talk to about it. The number one moment of the year, in my opinion, was the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin and his entire WrestleMania weekend. Vince, in a business where they say never, how surprised were you to see Steve actually get back in the ring after 19 years?
I wasn't really surprised because, knowing Steve, if he wanted to get back in the ring, he was going to get back in the ring. Because Steve was not going to go out there and he was not going to do it half-ass. He was going to be 100%. And, he would have to know that he was going to be healthy, that he was going to be the Steve Austin that people remembered. So I really think it was just a matter of his health and him feeling comfortable enough with his knees and whatnot, that he would be able to pull it off at the level he wanted to. A lot of people in that spot, bro, they would just grab the paycheck. But Austin is not like that. I mean, bro, the paycheck could have been $10 million. If Austin didn't feel that he 100% would be able to perform, he wouldn't have done it.
It seems like he's always been very protective over his legacy, and rightfully so. He's, in my opinion, the greatest superstar in the history of professional wrestling, at least the most successful. Let's talk about Kevin Owens for a little bit, though. Kevin Owens really stepped up to the plate here. I thought he was fantastic in the entire build leading up to WrestleMania. How do you think Kevin Owens did leading up to WrestleMania compared to how that they've been doing with him since WrestleMania? Do you think that they've really capitalized on that Steve Austin rub with him?
First of all, I disagree with you a little. I thought it was a very weak build. And that's not Kevin Owens' fault. That's typical WWE. The angle is all of a sudden, Kevin Owens is mad at the people in Texas. Okay. It's always the least common denominator when it comes to WWE creative. But I think more important than that, totally dropped the ball after the fact. I mean, my gosh, what an opportunity to give Kevin Owens a rub. But again, I want to make one thing perfectly clear because I think people get confused. Kevin Owens is not writing these shows. Kevin Owens is just going out and performing and, doing what they tell him to do. But I personally felt it was a huge letdown for him after WrestleMania.
Yeah, Mike, I know you and I have spoken about this as well, to go from main eventing WrestleMania against Steve Austin, and then they just kind of put him in a comedy feud with Elias or Ezekiel, whatever that gimmick was they were doing. I was a little bit boggled by it as well. Yep. I do kind of agree actually with what you said though, Mr. Russo, about the actual angle leading into WrestleMania. I thought it was a little weak, but I thought Kevin did a great job with what he was given.
Oh yeah, for the match. I mean, bro, when you're in that position, I got to be honest, man. I was in that position when I actually had a steel cage match with Ric Flair. And I mean, all I cared about, bro, and I'm sure Kevin experienced some of this, bro, all I cared about was not making Rick look bad. I mean, that's all I wasn't thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about, what could happen to me. I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was just thinking, bro, you can't make him look bad. You can't make him look bad. So I'm sure Owens was going through a lot of that. Bro, the match delivered. I'm not denying that at all. I'm just talking about the before and the after.
Part of the reason we're even talking about this today, and the reason this is such a huge moment and our number one moment of the year, is obviously because of how much of an impact Stone Cold Steve Austin had 20, 25 years ago. You were there for a lot of that, Vince. Looking back, do you recall any specific moments with Steve where you knew you guys had something real special in that man?
Man, I knew it a few times, man. Bro, the bottom line is, originally Vince did not want Steve Austin to say a word. Vince was not familiar with Stunning Steve Austin. He was not familiar with any of the stuff he did in ECW. And that's why he had DiBiase there, and that's why he was the ringmaster. Vince did not have a clue who Austin was. So those were the marching orders he gave me. And, every week at TV, Steve would come to me and say, bro, you got to find me an opportunity. You got to find me a little hole to show what I could do. Persistent, nonstop. So that's exactly what happened, man. I found a spot to put Steve on commentary. He put the headsets on, and I tell people this all the time, bro. In 3 minutes, he made himself a multi-millionaire 10 times over. And then, coming up with Austin 316, he came up with that. And I'll never forget him giving me the pitch before he did the promo. And I thought it was phenomenal. And then when he cut that promo, I was like, that's it, man. Austin 316, that's it.
Well, when you said he gave you the pitch, can you kind of take us back to a little bit of what you remember about that, and like when you heard your reaction to it of when he pitched that to you?
Well, bro, you gotta realize too, like it's any TV day is a very, very, very busy day. So I am all over the place, So a guy like Austin, bro, I'm not writing his promo in that spot. He's in the moment. We're at a pay-per-view. He knows what the promo is. And I just remember him pulling me aside and say, I want to run my promo past you. And when he got to the Austin 316 part, that really, really, really stood out. And then obviously when he delivered it, with the passion and the emotion that he did, I just knew it was a home run, man.
Do you think that that's something that the world of wrestling's been missing over the last 10 years or so, is not having that opportunity for that 3 minutes to go out there and put themselves over if they can, like that opportunity that you gave Austin? I feel like from, what you read online, so you take it with a grain of salt, obviously, but that it's very heavily scripted and they don't have those opportunities to get their own characters over.
Yeah, but they've got to fight for those opportunities, bro. Listen, I put a lot of blame on WWE creative, but also I know if I am a wrestler on the roster, and they're giving me something that I don't believe or I wouldn't say or does not fit my character, I would speak up. If I'm afraid of losing my job, that just tells me, man, that I've got a lack of confidence of ever being able to make it without the WWE. I'm sorry, bro, man. You've got to protect your character. And every wrestler I worked with, if they didn't feel something, if something didn't work, if they felt they had something better, they would always, tell me, and we would talk about it. And 90% of the time we would do what they wanted to do. Again, bro, the only thing that could keep them from that is being afraid of losing their job. Bro, if you're afraid of losing your job, then you just have no confidence in yourself, because there's a million other things you could do in the wrestling business to make a living.
especially today with, this isn't 2003 where there was, one major company and one uprising company. This is 2022 where there's 3, 4 big companies and probably the biggest time in indie wrestling in the history of the business.
Well, it's
there
not
are places to go.
right. It's not even that aspect. You could do what I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, bro, you can literally sit at home, be with your family, and make a very, very, very comfortable living. That has been proven by a lot of people. I mean, I wasn't a wrestler, and I've made 8 years out of podcasting now. So that's why, like, yeah, the writing's bad, but if they really cared about protecting their character, then they would speak up. Like, you guys mentioned it. Even Owens coming off of the match with Austin and then getting into that Ezekiel thing. And I was watching every week and I'm like, why would Kevin Owens care? Like, why would he? It made him look so ridiculous. Why would you care, bro? And again, bro, if you're not going to speak up and if you're not going to say anything, you got to take part of that responsibility, man.
Absolutely. Being here with you right now, and I really respect your creative mind. I do think that you're one of the best writers that's ever been in wrestling history. How would you have brought Steve back in that WrestleMania role? Just off the top of your head there.
Well, I mean, I could tell you this, bro. It would have been personal. I mean, it would have had to be something personal. And I don't know if you started online with him taking a shot at Steve or making a snide remark. I don't know. The perfect place probably would have been to do it on Steve's podcast.
Exactly.
Where there was something they really disagreed about. And you got to make it personal. It had to be personal for some reason. It couldn't be, I hate the people in Texas. They're this, it couldn't have been that. Listen, man, I know a lot of people in the business feel very strongly about not being fans of today's wrestling, but they're not going to say it, bro, because a lot of them still rely on today's wrestling to make a buck. Listen, man, Steve Austin's looking at the WWE today. He knows it's not the WWE from back when he was there. And I know there's a lot of things he probably doesn't like about the product. That's where I would have started it. I would have had Steve say something, and then somebody who is in it in the current year, try and defend it. I mean, I just would have made it very real and very personal.
Stone Cold wasn't the only major Attitude Era star to get back in the ring at WrestleMania this year. Vince, when you were watching WrestleMania, what was your personal feelings when you saw both Steve and the chairman, Vince McMahon, back in that ring?
Yeah, first of all, bro, I got to be honest with you. I the only show I watch, and it's because I get paid to watch it, is Raw. So okay. I haven't watched the WrestleMania in years, and I'll be honest with you, because I don't care. Like I could care less. But however, I did go back and see the Vince footage. I felt bad for him. Like, it's like bro, a lot of what Vince did after I left, like, kind of really, really surprised me, because, Vince was always very conscious and aware of carrying a certain air of himself. Vince loved people fearing him. He didn't make them fear him. It was just, he's Oz, so people feared him. And then as I saw him perform later and later on in life, to me, he was just a former shell of himself. And I was just surprised by that, because I don't know why he would have been want to be seen in that light. I know I wouldn't have wrote for him that way, and I wouldn't have produced him that way. And quite frankly, I would have protected him as best as I could. So I don't know, bro. Listen, man, maybe they did it for ticket sale. I don't know why they did it, but I don't think it's something I would have done.
You mentioned that you're watching Raw every week. Have you noticed any improvements in the product since Vince has left, or is it kind of the same
Bro,
thing for you?
I've noticed so little improvement in the product. There's no question in my mind that Vince is still involved in it. People that are putting, Triple H over and this and that, bro. All Triple H did, honestly, and I don't even know how long it's been now, but I watch every single week. All he's done is bring back all the people that were fired from NXT and put them on Raw. That's basically all he's done. The storylines, bro, I can't even say the storylines haven't gotten better because there aren't any storylines. There's nothing. I mean, bro, again, we talk about Kevin Owens, and this was a Vince McMahon, hating the state of Texas. We saw the opening match last week on Raw come about because Jey Uso slapped Matt Riddle's bongo drum. Like, that's Triple H. Like, bro, it's the same thing. And bro, here's the problem. When you've been inside that wrestling bubble for so long, this is how it's going to be, bro. It's going to be the lowest common denominator. It's going to be the simplest, quickest way. There's not going to be anything thought through. There's not going to be storylines. There's not going to be character development. There's not going to be any writing involved whatsoever. Because, bro, that takes a skill. I've got a degree in journalism. I've written books. I've written, screenplays. I've written television pilots. I've written for a living. I worked with a television writer in Ferrara who taught me the ropes. There is an art to television writing. They're just, Tony Khan's in the same boat, bro. They're just booking wrestling. And unless you're a diehard wrestling fan, this is not going to draw you in.
Oh, I thought you had a question there, Mike. I'll go back in. I agree with what you're saying. Actually, there needs to be a little more storytelling for my liking. But back in your time period, everybody had a story. If it was from Steve Austin to Val Venus to The Rock to Kai and Tai, they all had a purpose of why they were getting in the ring. And I do hope that's something that we do get back to. But going back,
and this is why the only product we put over weekly on this show is Impact.
Yeah, I have stories, right? Going back to that Attitude Era time, it's no question that Steve Austin was the biggest star in all of professional wrestling and possibly in all of professional wrestling history as far as, making money and drawing in that audience. What was he like during this time period to work with? From you said that you were with him before he had that explosion. Was there a big change in him during that time period? Did you guys ever butt heads at all?
He became and again, I understood this 100%, and I had to understand it when I worked with him. He became more paranoid. And the reason why he became paranoid, bro, is you could put anybody in that spot. The rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin came so quick. And with Steve Austin's experience in the wrestling business, he realized it could have died just as quickly. I mean, because, again, his experience in the business, he knows this is my shot. This is my opportunity. So a lot of times when it came down to writing, like, bro, if you look at something long enough, you could poke holes in anything. I mean, my God, bro, I can watch The Sopranos and poke holes in it if I looked at it long enough and really wanted to poke holes in it. So I think, bro, he really, because of the paranoia, which I understand, I think he really started really looking deeply into things, almost trying to find fault with them. But I would just, explain to him, Steve, this is good. This is going to be good for you. This is going to be good for your character. So it was never any arguments or anything like that. It was just him being super sensitive. That's why, bro, it's like when you've got a star like that, and I am the writer, every week you've got to give him material that's going to top the week before. I've got to come up to Steve Austin's level, because if I don't, I'm going to pull him down, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. Bro, we could look at so many scenarios in the WWE. How many people were over and now were pulled way down? I mean, obviously, bro, the perfect example is Bray Wyatt. At the end of the day, bro, they could not ride up to Bray Wyatt's level. I mean, that's what it really came to. They did not know what to do with Bray Wyatt on a weekly basis. And that's why, bro, you're not seeing guys or gals get super over anymore, because there's just not that consistency in the writing.
Now that we're at the end of the year, we're talking about our highlights of 2022, but we're going into 2023. Vince, is there anything that could happen in 2023, anything that you would want to happen that could actually make you want to watch wrestling
Bro,
again?
the only thing I'm interested in, I swear to God, bro, both shows, Impact, AEW, NWA, the only thing I'm interested in is I am always interested in Bray Wyatt, because he is on another level. And I know he is writing a lot of his own stuff. Yeah. So I am I'm always curious to see what Bray is going to do. Bro, outside of that, bro, here's the problem. And they do this all the time. Bro, when I was writing and we had a big moment, I knew that a lot of non-wrestling fans, non-WWE fans, were going to be tuning in. I knew that we would. It's usually one of those times is always the day after WrestleMania. So you know you're going to have a huge audience, bro. So the key is balls to the wall, because this is your one and only time to hook them. This is it. This is the one and only time. They've had so many opportunities like that in the WWE. They had the opportunity with Bad Bunny. Oh, we're going to bring Bad Bunny's audience. Yeah, bro, you're going to bring Bad Bunny's audience over, and they're going to watch this show, and they're going to laugh at it. They're going to think it's terrible. So when Bad Bunny's gone, they're gone. Then you're going to bring a Logan Paul in. Same thing. Oh, bro, he's got a great following. Yeah, bro, but your show is not going to hook them. So as soon as he leaves, the fan base will leave. Bro, they're going to do the same thing with Rock. Oh, my God, we're going to get Rock to wrestle at WrestleMania, whatever number they're on. Bro, that's great. That's terrific. But right after the match, they're going to go right back down to the same audience. So, bro, they just don't know how to capitalize anymore on when they get those big moments. They're going to have a lot of people tuning in, but they don't know how to hook those people.
Yeah. And you know, with WrestleMania season, you know, it's coming up. Everyone starts getting those buzzes in their fantasy booking. Steve Austin did recently posted a video of himself doing some cardio, and everyone's getting all excited. Is he going to fight again? Let's just say in a hypothetical world, he did decide to fight at WrestleMania again. Do you think that there's even anybody on that roster that's up to that level that would make sense to put him in there with?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely not, bro. And I mean, come on, bro, let's face it. Kevin Owens wasn't up to that level. No, bro, because they don't know how to make mega stars anymore, bro. Bro, I swear to God, I left the WWE in 1999, and from 1999, bro, till 2020, we're talking now 23 years, going on 24 years. Bro, they've maybe made 5 main eventers in the last 25 years, maybe 5. I mean, I would say, definitely Cena, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. Then, I mean, you could throw Orton in there and maybe a Batista. Who else would be on that list? We're talking 23 years, bro. That's like making one guy every 5 years. Bro, they should be making 5 guys a year, not 5 guys, not one guy every 5 years.
So the last question that I always like to ask our guests as we come to an end here, do you have any moments, and I'll keep this one specific to Steve Austin since he's our topic here. do you have any moments that you look back on during your career, just interactions with Steve or fun times with Steve that just make you smile and keep you happy? Like, something that just you look back on, you're like, that was cool when we did that together.
Bro, I got to be honest with you. The one thing that makes me happy is I don't think I ever disappointed Steve Austin. And like I said, bro, here's where people are so naive and they don't understand. They'll look at the success of Vince Russo and they'll say, "Oh, look at the roster." Bro, as a writer, do you know how difficult it is to write for these individuals who are so great and to keep them at that level? We're talking Taker. We're talking Mick Foley. You're talking Austin. You're talking The Rock. Do you know how difficult it is when you have such gifted sports entertainers and every week you've got to feed them. You got to feed them, and you got to feed them up to their level. I think I was able to maintain Austin's level. Bro, there was no way I was ever going to TV and I was going to hand Austin a shit script. Never in a million years. So I'm really proud of the relationship that we had working together. It was all together. It was a combined effort because you guys know what happened after we left. Austin was not happy with the creative, and Austin wound up leaving. So I'm very proud of the relationship that him and I had, and it really being very, very successful for the both of us.
Wow, that's amazing. I couldn't agree with you more. You guys definitely changed the game. And Mr. Russo, we can't thank you enough for joining us to help count down our #1 moment of the year. Can you tell the people where they can find you, what you're doing, your podcast network, your social medias, anything you want to plug at all, Mr. Russo?
Yeah, well, I tell you a couple things. I mean, one thing, you guys were talking about Vic Venom. Vic Venom is alive and well, bro, and does a weekly show every week on my Patreon channel. That's the only place you'll get Vic Venom, and it's video. So it's patreon.com/Russo TWC. And then all my other, shows are on russosbrand.com, or you can go to channelattitude.com. We got many shows, bro, with many great people, great wrestlers, great co-hosts. Just check it out, man. Go to channelattitude.com or russosbrand.com.